how did you start it?
I've always wanted to build tech, but I've never been able to sit down and learn how to code. So like ever since I forget what age I was when the social network came out. I pay more, you know, when people think, oh, I'm trying to get to $10,000 a month. I pay $10,000 plus a month in salaries, bro. Yeah, 100%. And it does happen, you know, very quick. But for freelancers, I usually push them away from Upwork. I've made multiple six figures on Upwork when I was freelancing.
You and your business has transitioned to the next level again, being the creator to the educator and now the platform builder. Having that initial skill set, so obviously your initial skill set being around video, you spent a lot of time learning yourself, and again, you know, now you're at a point where you're at a level where you're educating and you're able to get that knowledge out there, but also then understanding, you know, there is more to the journey than just you. And being able to progress that beyond yourself and being able to do more with it. And I guess that's where the technology piece comes in, where, you know, first it's being able to multiply yourself by, you know, sharing as much of your experience with as many people as possible through, I guess, as cheap a means as possible. Because a lot of people will be price conscious and will want to learn, but, you know, not be able to afford to have that dedicated one-to-one time, or get somebody even close to them, go to college, do a course locally, and being able to access that knowledge online for, you know, a very reasonable amount of money gives them already a head start, and also allows you to share your knowledge far beyond what you could personally do on a one-to-one basis.
Big time.
And I think that's where the technology piece comes in, is that, you know, it's saying, okay, what have I got to deliver? What's my skill set that I'm able to deliver? And then using technology then to multiply yourself as much as possible.
Big time.
And I think it's really cool.
I love it. So what's going down? I'm excited to be here. I think if we're talking to non-coders who want to start tech companies, this is going to be a fun angle for me. Usually I'm exploring like, you know, creatives who want to build a business. And I think when I look at my value in the space, my biggest value in the space, I've always been an entrepreneur first. So with most creatives, like creativity and sales and marketing and business, they're kind of like left brain, right brain activities. They're two different ends. So instantly, the way that my value kind of emerged in this market is that I was a businessman first who just loved creativity. I was always making YouTube videos. I was always, you know, before YouTube was even a thing, I've got videos of me 10 years old, holding up gaming magazines, trying to do a YouTube video. We didn't even have internet in our crib back then. I just knew YouTube was a thing. I was really passionate about making content. And I've just essentially found ways to make money every step of the way. I've been a freelancer. I was freelancing for myself. I've been a videographer, filming nightclubs, music videos, promo videos. I have been an agency owner. I've been a YouTuber the entire way. My first success on YouTube was when I was 16 years old doing gaming trolling videos. I used to get on the video game GTA 5 and I used to troll people. And I had some pretty big success. I became somewhat of a micro celebrity at 16 in my school and the surrounding area. I had about 85,000 subscribers on YouTube, just making complete entertainment videos. Eventually got bored of sitting in the house playing video games all day. Started coming out, was outside partying, you know, growing up a little bit. And, you know, then I still wanted to make videos, but I was kind of bored of the gaming stuff. And it happened so quick, I kind of took it for granted. You know, 85,000 subscribers at 16 in retrospect is like, holy shit. Like, you know, that's huge. If I'd have kept running with it, a lot of my friends that kept running with it, they now have 5 mil, 10 mil subscribers. They're multimillionaires off the back of just the gaming stuff. But I got bored. I came out. I started a production company, TQ9 Media. And I started filming music videos for rappers, nightclubs. I've filmed over 50 nightclubs. And then eventually, about the time I'm 18, so I've been doing the music video stuff for a little while, 16 to 18. I look around and I'm like, wow, that YouTube channel was crazy. That was such a big asset. How did I let that fall between my fingers? And I came back to YouTube with a vengeance. And I was like, I'm going to get it all back. It's time to go again. And I started teaching people how to make money making videos, which was my kind of slogan. Because that's what I'd ultimately figured out over those past 2 years from 16 to 18 is that I was now making money filming and doing video editing over the internet remotely. And I came back to YouTube, started building my platform again to basically teach people this new skill set. So we transitioned away from gaming. Since then, I've scaled to over 450,000 subscribers off the back of the video editing, video production stuff. And ultimately, then I decided to pivot again. I said, you know what? It's been about 5 years now. 5 years. I was about 23, 24. Since 18, we built an amazing platform, but just making YouTube videos and still freelancing was getting boring to me now. And freelancing, there is an absolute upper threshold of how much you can make freelancing. There absolutely is. So I think usually I tell my students, freelancing for a lot of them is probably actually a stepping stone. It's like a bid that you pay where after a period of time, you end up saying, you know what, what's next? What can I use these skills to do next? And I looked at the board and I looked that I had a great personal brand and I had a great audience built up. And I had a lot of firsthand experience going from zero to hero, going from nothing. I've never worked a job in my life. I've made money the whole way just being me. Worked 3 days in a coffee shop, to be fair, and they stopped calling me in. They never formally fired me. They just took me off the register. I might still be there somewhere. They just never gave me another shift. But ultimately, I came to the decision of what can I do next with these skills, and to me, it was building out a education product that would teach people who were in a similar position to me, but who were maybe more creative first rather than business person first, and had actually skills that I think are better than mine. I think I was only like a 7 out of 10 video editor, but I made loads of money because I had the business side. I think there's kids who are a 9 or a 10 out of, a 9 out of 10 video editor, but they just don't know how to capitalize on it and make money. So that was my big value to provide, is I could take you if you're a 19, 20, 22-year-old kid, even older, but that's our normal demo for VP Plus is 19 to 22. I could take you. I know exactly what to do with you because I was in your exact position 5 years ago, and I managed to make money there. And since then, I've started to hire other mentors who kind of fill different areas, whether it be high ticket closing or whether it be, huge agency scaling. And I've started to take a bunch of the revenue that we're doing for VP Plus, allocate that to mentors to put them on a flat fee, and in certain cases an affiliate deal as well, and start to kind of expand the team out to be an array of different mentors who are teaching different aspects of the business side, but also just the video creation business side. And through that, we built up Video Production Plus, has over 500 paying members, $34.99 a month. We're actually rolling out the new iteration of it, VP Plus 2.0, Friday. So that's a brief introduction to the past near 10 years, basically.
Yeah, nice. And so for you then, so obviously this is what you're teaching. So you're teaching from those base level skills and then that evolution through. But I guess now you and your business has transitioned to the next level again. And so going from being the creator to the educator and now the platform builder. Yep. So, leveling that up. I guess with that transition for you, how did you start it? And again, there is a strong technology element, so it'd be quite interesting to see, even from a technology perspective, not having the experience of how to physically do that bit yourself. How did you go about it, and how did you start implementing your system and building that platform?
100%. So I've always wanted to build tech, but I've never been able to sit down and learn how to code. So like ever since I forget what age I was when The Social Network came out, the OG Mark Zuckerberg movie. I must have been 12 years old, maybe. I remember sitting there and making 100 shitty websites on Wix. I was like, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one. So I've always been technical in the sense that I could use SaaS products. I could build a website on a website maker, but I've tried to learn how to code, but it's just absolutely not me. I think it's you have to know yourself, and it's not me. So when I was building VP Plus, I knew that we were going to build out a tech component, and we didn't actually have it from the start because I'm a big MVP fan, right? Like rather than invest all this money up front, let's just figure out if we can get members in. So I launched VP Plus off the back of my audience with a bare bones Discord server with maybe 1 or 2 courses. They were hosted in the Discord server. You played it in a Discord channel. You watched the video in Discord. And I said we were launching it at $20, but the first 100 people could get it for $10 a month for life. If you join now, $10 a month for life. I wanted to lock people in like a base, and I wanted to just see if there was interest. So we launched it with a bare bones Discord server that I set up with zero help, nobody. I just put it together myself and hosted the courses in there, edited all the courses myself, and just put it in there. Great. Near zero investment. Made the website on Wix, the landing page on Wix. Easy. So Wix cost me 15 quid, whatever. Awesome. And we got 100 people in the first month. So I was doing $1,000 of monthly recurring revenue in the first month. And then we made a big promo that, cool, you guys are getting a great deal now. It's now $20 a month to anybody else coming in. Just keep your subscription active. You guys are going to continue paying $10 for life. It's 18 months down the road. We've still got a third of those people still in 18 months later. So we locked in $1,000 of monthly recurring revenue, which means I had a little bit of cash. Nothing crazy, obviously, but it was a new source of income. Also, it was generating something great. It was profitable. And then we just started to build it out. I started to listen to the community. So another big thing that I did is I had 400,000 subscribers on YouTube, when I launched that. I could have been Billy Big Bollocks and said, yo, I'm also charging for one-on-one calls and I'm charging for this, and started to build a whole value ladder. But I said, let's just talk to the community. So I actually, on top of giving them a crazy deal, and I was promoting the shit out of it on YouTube and getting people in at $20 a month now, I also started doing free one-on-ones. So I said, I'll do you a free 15, 30-minute one-on-one call. We'll jump on. A lot of them, actually, some of them, if we got into a conversation, they'd even be longer. But average, it was probably 20, 30 minutes. I got on, I talked to them. What are your problems? What's going down? And in 2023, I did 300 free one-on-one calls with my early community. 300. So it's nearly a call a day. A bunch of calls left, right, and center, like 30 calls a month, whatever. And I started listening. What are your problems? And we talked about, oh, you suck at outreach, or, oh, you have no social proof, or, oh, you think you need a elaborate portfolio and you can't get it, or, oh, you have nothing to showcase. Awesome. And we started to solve those problems. So a high amount of the courses that we have now, near every single course we have now, bar a couple, are direct results of listening to their problems and hearing what they were going through and then implementing those. And then the next iteration was just making that stuff. So I'm talking to members every single day. I live with my brother and my girlfriend. They'd be so fucking annoyed all 2023 because I'm taking calls all around the house, 4 calls a day, whatever, calls. The house was just calls for the whole of 2023. But off the back of that, we built a lot of one-on-one connections, which meant like I was building more rapport on with the members individually. And like I said, I've got 400,000 subscribers on YouTube now. I've built a successful freelance business. Even if I charged $10 a call, $20 a call, $50 a call, people would have paid that anyways. But I said, no, I just want to get that information. And I started data tracking. I started, had a nice Notion Excel. I started inputting the information. What's your starting clients? Where are you? What do you want to get to? Where are you? What's your age? Just starting to collect data from them. And it was a gold mine. And I just took that and I started applying that. But along the way, I realized that, you know what, people need a more streamlined experience from talking to people. So then I decided, okay, cool, we've got monthly recurring revenue now. Probably 6 months in, it's doing 4 or 5 G's a month, something like that. I've still got no employees, so it's just basically pure profit all coming in. And I said, okay, cool, let's go. Let's hire some people. And I interviewed a few different devs and actually hired some Ukrainian devs. Bodan, absolute legend. Bodan and his team, legends. And we started building out a tech product. So what that looked like is we went and just bought the license for some UI. I didn't even have somebody code the UI. I said, let's just buy the license to some UI. This looks really nice right here. I like it. Let's take that. And we started building out a very bare bones tech product, which now it's evolved. We have different tools, pricing tracker. Members can submit jobs to the pricing tracker. Students can scroll through. They can search by niche. How much are people getting paid in gaming? How much are so? All of that's come later as I've been able to continue pumping profits into it. But in the early days, it cost me 2.5 G's to get a bare bones product built, which was just a glorified micro version of school. It hosted content. They could click on it. They could watch the content in the platform. We installed the Google Analytics and everything so we could see how much time they're spending, what tabs they're going to the most, what they like the most. And we slowly iterated out the channels they weren't using and kept the channels they were using. And it's, I could literally screen share and show it to you if you wanted to. Just to literally give a visual to exactly what we've built right now, just so I can show you. And again, this is me not at all. Let me go ahead and screen share. So this is the tech product right here. It's a very super simple. This shouldn't be here because I'm on admin mode. But essentially they have some start here walkthroughs. They can choose a path. These are the 3 paths I identified were the main ones based on what they told me on the calls. I want to start freelancing and land my first client. I've got some clients I want to make more money, or I want to improve my editing skills. They can follow through. It will guide them through a bunch of the course content, or they can just start to browse themselves. So they can come to courses, click start here. They watch some of our initial courses. They can come to courses on outbound. They can come to courses on video editing, Premiere Pro, everything like that. And we just started to build this out directly inside of our own platform. And you can scroll through lessons here. You can mark it as complete. It will start to tick it off. Again, the fact it tracks progress and all this stuff, it tracks how long the course is. That was an iteration down the road, right? The first thing didn't have that. It didn't even have the mark as complete. So all of this has been built out. As we've progressed, you've got case studies. You can see winning people. Oh, this guy went from 500 euros to 8,000 a month. Okay, let's hear his story. Awesome. We hear some videos from him. We can see through his whole journey. We can copy what he's doing. And then I've started to hire other mentors. So Cami C is a big agency owner. Remington, his client, pays him $9,000 a month. He's making 30 G's a month off his agency. We brought him to talk about scaling. Garen Phillips is an incredible biz dev guy, high ticket salesman, awesome stuff. So we've started to to not only get mentors on, but also empower some of the more experienced members of the community to start breaking down million subscriber clients they've had, etc. We've got an amazing practice project section where one of the bottlenecks was that they didn't have any raw videos to practice on. So awesome. Or to use as their portfolio or whatever. So we start to give them a bunch of content to use. And essentially, these are all just problems that we've solved for them. We have live sessions every single week. There's a live session replay. You know, you come over here to the highlights. You can see different highlights. So it's literally just a, in theory, shittier version of school, but it's our own version of school.
Yeah, and I think that comes to, I guess, the point where a lot of people will be at, where it's like, you know, you've got pluses and minuses of building your own tech. Even for, you know, us as technology providers, like we know that for the first year and a half, your technology just won't be as good, and you just know it because it takes time.
Big time.
And I think, you know, people think that when I'm going to create something, you know, oh yeah, well, we could build that platform in 3 months, and you can, but like, you know, it doesn't have all of these bells and whistles, the small little things that, you know, make the product from 80% to 90 to 95.
Big time.
And that takes like another year to actually make all of
Big
those.
time.
But then it comes with obviously its benefits. And now you can obviously make something that you know your audience is really going to want and need. Before you went into this, so obviously you're talking about school now as being, you know, a potential replacement and probably a better version, but not exactly tailored to your audience. How did you weigh up those two options?
To me, it was simple. It's just building someone else's IP versus my own. So I knew that it was going to be a worse version. And I think we're slowly starting to have enough there that it's beginning to be an equal competitor to just your community, which is great. But there's still a lot of things that they have. They have, you know, heat maps that you can see the activity of people. These are things that we're building in the background and will be implemented later in the year. And I think the thing that you just said there, which is great, which is that it's going to take a year and a half, even 2 years, till it even becomes as competitive as that other piece of tech. But the thing I always say is the time's going to pass anyways. That time's going to pass anyways. What are we going to do? Are we going to be, you know, left here in 2 years thinking, oh, let's go build? And then maybe we could fast track it. Maybe we have more money and we invest a shitload more money and we build something faster with a big team. But ultimately, you know, building slow and the iteration cycle is something I'm a big fan of. I'm a big fan of MVP. Let's start with the MVP and let's just slowly iterate. And again, when we talk to the users, there's things that school have that people aren't even necessarily a fan of or using, right? So we can actually, by starting at a blank slate, we can build something that's tailor-fitted to this exact audience. Because school is meant for a broad array. We could be a Forex community and sign up to school. We could be an art community who just specialize in painting and sign up. We could be, you know, any number of generalist kind of places, rather than a specialist tailor-fitted community for these exact people who, again, I've got so much data on because we've talked to them all. So it was a no-brainer for me from the start. There was also other people who had been part of communities before that I liked and respected the fact they'd built an app, and the experience I had in those communities through also product testing was better. And they weren't even actually video production communities. They were actually, funny enough, for Forex and crypto communities. Like one of my favorite Forex and crypto community, Innovation Markets, they just built their own platform. They had an app, they had a platform, you log in. I loved it, absolutely loved it. And that experience to me as a user was so much more enjoyable. And I said, okay, cool. So I'm not going to build a new community place because that changes behavior too much, right? If you're already spending on time on Discord, it's going to be pretty tough to say, hey, we've got this new thing which you're going to consciously log into and chat every day. It seemed like a bit of a stretch. So I never ever thought I was going to build a specific community. Maybe that evolves in the future. Maybe it's a web page, a website, whatever. But for the most part, I think community should be where people are, the actual place people talk to each other each day. Let's go to where they are. For certain businesses that, like for more biz-focused products with an older demographic, that could be Slack. Slack works in a very similar way. For me, it was Discord. The demo is younger. It's people who want to land their first clients and get started in the industry. And that's the core problem that I've solved for the most is, you know, not having to go get a job. So community stayed on Discord. But to me, there was never a debate about using a school. There was never a debate about using one of these other platforms. There's actually a few others, which now they've evaded me. But it was always, let's build our own platform. But also, like I've said, this has always been building to exit. Building to build a company that's a tech company based on my expertise that I feel is I'm uniquely positioned to build for an eventual exit years down the road. And we're still probably 3 years away from building it to the scale of an exit. Been going for a year and a half now. I feel comfortable in the next 3 years we'll have something of serious scale and, you know, thousands and thousands of users. But consciously, if you're building to exit, you need to own something to sell it. I can't sell school. Sam Ovens already sold it to Hermosi. So it's already, see, someone else is already selling it. So if I'm trying to build something to exit, I need to own the IP across the board. It needs to be not only I need to own the IP, but it also needs to be not predicated on one person. So in my team calls, two of the biggest things we talk about are being tech enabled, building out tech that we own, that's IP that we've built 100% of, and we control the users and we can see everything and we can implement anything live. And then also making it not dependent on one person. So in the past year and really past 6 months, I've started to allocate some of the revenue to hiring other people who are incredible creatives and incredible video production business guys, whether it be Cami, whether it be Garen, and bringing those on as mentors and starting to change the dynamic of this is just Jack Cole's place, this is just the Jack Cole fan club. And, you know, still the vast majority of all of our members have come directly through me, but that is beginning to shift, and we're starting to put an emphasis on this not just being a Jack Cole fan club, and that also played into the name. It wasn't, you know, Jack Cole Productions or whatever the case may be. It was Video Production Plus. This is a video production school. At a school, there's no one professor. You've got an array of them. So I think it's cloning that model and the ultimate idea of building to sell that made me always think we're not going to choose somebody else's platform.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier on about finding that tech team. Maybe you could go into a little bit more of how did you find them?
Yeah.
And I guess that's even from from the very first step of saying, I want to now build my own technology. So I've evaluated, I see that I want to build to sell. I know that I need to make my own tech. You know, again, like talking about the steps, even like, I guess, of understanding what the product should be, scoping it out. How do you communicate to the person? How do you find the person? You know, maybe it'd be great to hear those steps of each of the way along.
100%. So for freelancers, I usually push them away from Upwork. I've made multiple six figures on Upwork when I was freelancing in the golden days of Upwork. And that was when there was a lot less competition. And I had a competitive edge because I had a big YouTube channel, so I could showcase I'm not just a theorist, I'm a practitioner. I really do this. We can land some clients. So Upwork for freelancers, I say a move away. Funny enough, for hiring, I actually love Upwork because you get a lot of people that apply, and you can also shop around different geographies and see, okay, cool, you can build it for less, you can build it for less, you're still really good, but you know, just geographically you're optimized to charge a different rate for it. So we could really cross compare a bunch of different offers. So I put a job out on Upwork midway through last year, probably 4 months in. I said, okay, let's put a job out on Upwork. Let's start to review people. So I hired on Upwork. I probably went through 5 different interviews, talked to different people, got a bunch of different prices. And it's funny enough, in the tech world, I could have paid 10 times more for the same exact product just by working with a different dev. So there's totally, you want to be strategic about who you're working with, and you want to balance between making sure they've built something before, proof of concept, built something similar as well, so that they're not, they've already learned a couple, you know, things. They've already solved a couple problems. Exactly. They've learned some stuff not to do, and they've solved a couple problems in this area before. And then that also acts as a proof of concept. So that was my core. I said, have you built a education product before? And these guys, that I believe they'd built a fitness education product. So they'd already started to solve for this, and they understood the flow, and they'd been through it already. And it was a combination of that, plus they were able to charge a favorable rate, not the lowest at all. There were people that I could have chosen that were lower, but they didn't exactly have an exact clone of what I was looking for. And because I'd been through the freelancing agency cycle, I understood that hiring the cheapest talent possible, although it can seem attractive, comes with an array of different problems that you'd actually end up saying, holy shit, I should have just paid more. So there's totally a balance. You don't want some fancy firm who have massively inflated rates and they're going to charge you an inflated, ridiculous rate. But you also don't want to be a penny pincher about it and to choose the cheapest possible talent and then ultimately spend way more time in the management process and kind of pulling your hair out. So I found these guys. They were moderately priced, and I found them through Upwork, and I hired them. And the core idea of it was MVP. What is the MVP? What's the sprint that we could do here as quick as possible to be able to host all of my content, which is currently hosted on the Discord. Also, a paywall that people can't get through because people could copy paste the link, send it to their boy or whatever inside Discord. The core that I wanted there was I want all the content embedded in the Content Hub, and I also want it to have Discord login access. So it needs to make sure for you to go into that, it has to check that you're a member of the server. So those were the two core things. I said it just needs to host everything, and it needs to make sure that it has a strong paywall that people can't bypass. So it checks that you're a member, it lets you through, and then you're able to browse through and watch content. And it was literally that MVP concept that we launched with, and ultimately, since then, we've just started to scale up more and more and more, and again, continue talking to the users and find out what they want and add more user experience stuff, whether it be tracking where you are in your course or all these features which absolutely came next. But the core of it was just essentially a glorified host of content with a secure paywall that would make sure you were in the server.
Yeah, nice. And how did you go? So obviously, you know, as a non-technical person, you are in a certain case putting your trust into these developers. So, you know, from a product perspective, you know what you want to achieve, and you can test the product and you can click all the buttons and bring it the whole way through. But there still is quite a layer of trust in terms of security, making sure those payments are secure, making sure that you know it's person's not able to hack their way into the admin. You know, all of these different elements. How did you manage this? And I suppose go from a level of trust to being able to verify and check the work that they've been doing.
Luckily for me, I still am the only piece of third-party SaaS that I'm using still is a payment processor, LaunchPass. So we use LaunchPass to process the payments and get you into the community, and then you get onboarded to the community, and then you can access the Content Hub. So with the Content Hub, apart from, you know, editing the titles and putting a bunch of poo emojis and just trolling us, there wasn't loads of areas to be screwed over. And since then, we're actually now cloning LaunchPass. So the new thing that I'm doing in the background is we're paying LaunchPass 3%. That's starting to add up now. So let's start to clone it. So we're basically building our own payment processor. And with that, you actually do want somebody to cross-reference that. So luckily through building out connections, I have, you know, some strong technical connections, and they'll actually come in and be on calls and review things. And I've got a not really a board because it's really two people, but a little bit more of a layer of approval. And then naturally, because we've been building for a while, there's mutually assured destruction in the fact that this is a long-term project that the people are involved in. And, you know, I'm an intuition guy, so we've managed to vet some strong people. And ultimately, I feel very comfortable with these guys. I think they're building strong tech, and there's a lot more work for them in the future. So a combination of making sure you actually trust the people and you've built up good rapport with them. And, you know, our calls are fun, but also involve some technical people to be involved in the process and also ask some of the questions that I am not completely aware of. And, you know, that I think is down to this not being my first business and having an array of contacts below me, or not really below me, but people I've met along the way who are involved in product management and have built much, much larger tech operations before, or at least been product managers and you know, leads on those teams who know either questions to ask and also, like you said, who can potentially poke holes or spot potential flaws. But for the most part, that's actually problems that I'm getting to now and is a semi-new thing based on the fact that before this, there's been no major security risk of hacking payments or anything like that based on the fact that up until now, we're still using third-party payment processor, which is LaunchPass, which basically is just a glorified subscription membership manager. It just shows that you've paid your payment on time, and it keeps you in the Discord. And like I said, those fees are now adding up, so we're cloning that because the 3% were given to them over a long enough period. We may as well just build our own version of it, and a few steps through that process now.
What's one thing in your business now that you're starting to deal with that maybe you haven't even figured out yet? What's something that, you know, is a new challenge that, you know, like right now you're trying to still figure it out?
Probably build more advanced features. So obviously, if you talk about tech is an overarching word, but there's different levels of tech, right? Are you building a invoice generator, which you just have to put in some numbers and it generates a PDF? Or are you building a fully fledged software like Premiere Pro that enables you to import content, edit it, manipulate it, and then ultimately render out a new version of it, right? They're both tech, right? With it. So I think to me, it's now the iteration cycle, which I'm a big fan of, starts with the MVP, but then ultimately you move into something that's a more advanced piece of tech. So building out more advanced features, whether that be a gamification system that enables people to feel a progression system and also start to weaponize their attention to want to turn up each day and actually engage to contribute to a point system or contribute to a progression or a score. That's one thing that we're working on at the moment that is not a small thing that we want to just integrate immediately. Because also in the tech world, I'll also say you want to build bottom up, not top down. So for example, a lot of great minds will get in a room and they're the smartest people in the world and they think, you know what, we're building this, people are going to love it, and they spend all this money and they build it and nobody uses it. And that's because the idea came top down. You want your ideas to come bottom up, user-generated ideas that come up and there's a proven demand for it. You build it and they use it because it was actually serving a purpose and it was something that they wanted.
Yeah.
So I think one of the big things we're moving in the direction of now is for one, gamification is an idea of something we're working on. It's an ongoing project and probably won't make its way into the actual platform for maybe another 6 months, maybe even more. Who knows? Because it's not something we want to just throw on there. Arbitrarily, we'll just attach points to each course. Well, now people aren't watching courses to actually watch the course and gain it. They're just watching all the courses to stack up. So that creates the wrong incentive of behavior.
Yeah.
So I think mainly that's it, is the new problems and the new kind of things that the next iteration or the next chapter of the iteration cycle is like, what are the products that we want to build within our core product? What are the kind of micro products and features? Do they serve a purpose? Are they too top down versus bottom up? And some of them are much more advanced. Some of them take a lot more thought and they take a lot more dev hours and they take a lot more even integrations with other APIs or whatever the case may be. So I think that's probably, if I had to put my finger on it, that's probably the next version of the chapter of building tech for me.
Nice. Yeah, I think the evolution that we've gone through has really been using external tech because, again, as you build that MVP, you just make something incredibly basic and you tend to piece it together from bits that are already out there.
Yeah.
And then you go through into saying, okay, right, I'm going to build out everything now myself because I want to build a store of value and I want to build it into my product so that I can own it and then, sell it or do whatever you want in the future. And the transition now that we're making again is kind of back to saying, okay, building everything yourself in-house is very time consuming. And sometimes just the value of actually making the thing versus getting something external that's really cheap. Like, let's say an example for this could be you could build a push notification system.
Yeah.
But to build a really good one, you're going to take maybe, 4 sprints, 8 weeks, 12 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
Or you just pay $10 a month and you get the best one on the market. And it's kind of that we've gone through that evolution of saying, is it really worth building everything ourselves? Or weighing up and saying, okay, these are the things that I can get externally because it's a good feature. It can be part of my core product, but I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can get a really good thing externally. Huge. Versus then saying, okay, this is going to be a core feature and my whole business pins around this point.
Yeah.
That I'm going to have to build because, that I wanted to be unique. I know that for my product, because I approach it differently and because, one of the things that I'm always thinking about and talking with the team is, having that one core idea that's uniquely you so that, your product over time doesn't just become a school competitor. It's not even the same thing as school. It's something different.
Yeah.
And now, now you're not competing against them. You're actually talking about something totally different.
100%.
And then as
100%.
you build your product, then you can make those decisions whether that is exactly what you need to make or, otherwise actually, you don't really need to make it. You can actually just use something that's already built. So that's the evolution that we've made.
About that. Yeah, I completely agree about that. And there's certain areas where we're thinking, do we build our own in-house affiliate system? And we say, you know what? It's just going to be a semi-pointless, right? We could just take Rewardful. We could buy Rewardful for $50 a month. We can integrate the API, which is already set up perfectly, and we can save ourselves not only a bunch of cash and sprints, but just a bunch of time, just essentially wasted wasted on building something again for the sake of building it. And I think like things like that, using a third-party affiliate system, it's not building any major value. Someone buying it's not going to say, hold on a minute, let's pause these negotiations. Did you build your affiliate system?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you didn't? Okay, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's functional, it's great. So I think also, that's a huge point for me is like, where do you want to spend your time? What's something that is intrinsically important and serves a utility, and then also like is valuable enough to justify building it in-house. Content platform, not having to use somebody else's content platform, great. Intrinsic value, sweet. And that actually did come top down because that was just a no-brainer. Awesome. Let's not use somebody else's. But then everything else, is it needed? But then also, like I said, just the bottom-up philosophy of like let your users actually be the inspiration behind it, and then see that there's a real use for it.
So, well, I guess a question then from me to you, is there anything that you think from my journey or experience that I could share with you to help you grow in your business?
100%. $300,000 a month is crazy. That's a wild amount in payroll. I assume you've had to have some uncomfortable firings. I assume not every single member of the core team has made it along the way. I've had to let go of some people. I assume that you've had to solve for a lot of different issues along the way. What was, when you were at my stage, right? And you were paying $10,000 a month in salaries, you had a business that was doing $250,000 a year, you were still in the inception phase, maybe, however, for me, it's 18 months in, it's a new business, great. Mm-hmm. What enabled you to hit the 7-figure mark, or even double the business's size when you were around my area? What were the core things that you had to tackle, or even change about yourself, or it could be an outlook thing? What were the next moves for you when you were at similar scale to me? I'd love to know.
Yeah, so I think, first and foremost, we're talking about the team. The biggest thing from the team perspective is I spent the first 6 months of the business just purely focusing on the culture within the team. To a point, like I was just trying to build it like practically cult-like. Talking to the team and saying, this is what we do, this is who we are, this is what we want to achieve. And our goal was very clear. I want to change the way the industry works. I believe that the businesses that are in the industry are not acting fair towards the consumer. And we know the right way to do it, and we're going to build a company that does it. And my goal has been the goal since the beginning, and actually we are now starting to change the way the industry is working, where we've coined a term, real funds, and it's now starting to get used even when people aren't talking about our brand. And so, even seeing that, we're seeing that we're actually making changes in the market, which is incredible. So for the first 6 months, I was just purely focused on this. So culture-wise, I was drumming in who we are and our mission. And then secondly, trying to build the culture and just consistently saying to the team, we are a company and we are a group of individuals that take accountability for our work and we take ownership of it. So if something comes across your table, I don't even care if it's not you that's meant to do it. You do it, and then we figure out who does it next time. Because, otherwise you're just passing the buck and things get dropped. And we're not a company that accepts things to get dropped. We are a company and we are a group of individuals who are accountable to each other, and we want to see the success of the business. And so we continuously focus on that. For the first 6 months, it was just, and all it took was every single meeting I went in, I just repeated the same thing. This is who we are. This is our mission. And this is what we are as a culture. Accountability and taking ownership. And, after 6 months, incredible things started to happen where we would first go into meetings and we would talk to each other and we would say, okay, this new obstacle came up. How do we solve it? Who needs to do it next time? Okay, you're going to need to do it. Okay, great. Yeah, I can do it. And then after about 6 months, it was like something comes up. Okay, great. Yeah, I think I should do that. Okay. And now all of a sudden, everybody just understands that it's like, they know that they're the person who does that type of job, and they take it on board for themselves. So conversations just kept flowing, and it got to a point where I don't even really contribute in our weekly meeting anymore. The team just have a conversation between each other. We give each other updates. They talk about the things that they're doing in their role. what they need others for, and the conversation just flows without me ever really having to have any input anymore. And so it's amazing, and it's really good. And I think, you know, having that culture, then I actually haven't had to have many tough conversations. I've had a scenario in the beginning where we were getting ready for a trade show, and it came to the weekend, and on Friday evening I got a design for the stand, and I was like, this is not good. I don't like it. It's, you know, it's not us. It's like, you know, we're telling people that we want to be a top 3 company within 2 years. That's not a top 3 stand, you know? And I saw it, okay. And then I was like, you know what, Saturday morning, no, I'm not happy. So I sent a message into Slack. There was 2 people that were responsible for it, and I didn't get any response back, but another 2 people got involved, and they were like, yeah, look, we can rework it. I'm out at the moment. I'll be back in an hour, and I'll be able to work on it then. And so basically those 2 people acted on it on a Saturday, redid the whole thing, didn't have access to any of the Figma designs, had to just redo all of the work.
Reskin it.
And by the end of Saturday, we had a great looking stand. And that there and then just kind of showed, you know, the true colors. And on Monday, I used that as an example, and I wanted to use it as a wider example throughout the whole team. So we did it on a public call, and I was like, look, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with the way that this happened. I'm not happy that we settled for mediocre results, because we are not a company that does mediocre work. And next time, I want us to up our game, and I don't want us to actually I don't even want to submit work like that. And those 2 people involved, one of them, she really, really worked, and, you know, has just gotten far, far better now in the work that she does, and she's an incredible part of the team. And 2 weeks later, the other person left. And, you know, I think in both scenarios, it worked out for the best, because that person who left maybe wouldn't have just fitted into the team, and it wasn't the right culture, and that's okay. There are some organizations that are places that you just go and you work 9 to 5. But we are not that organization. That's not the type of company that we are. And so by setting it clear, and I think the biggest thing is just setting clear expectations with the team. So making sure that people know that this is the environment and these are the expectations. If it doesn't work for them, that's cool. There's lots of other places to work. If it does work for you, like, we've got just such an incredible team now where people are just so bought into the mission of what we're trying to do. And like, even to a point where I get calls sometimes, it's like, hey Gary, you know, I'm being asked to do this, but I really don't think, like, this isn't going with the mission. I don't think we should do it this way. We should do it that way. And it's just
self-governing.
It's just incredible to see that, you know, because the idea has spread further and beyond the people and beyond me. So that's what I've really bedded in from the beginning. And it did take a lot of time, and it took a lot of pointing out, but it's not really that hard to work. It's just repetition, repetition. Like, even in the same, I'm sure you see it in terms of creating content. You need to just continue repeating the same stuff over and over and over again. And then there's one way that you say it that clicks. And so reps. A person might have watched 10 videos, but it's like that one time that you say it, it really resonates.
Yeah, huge.
So yeah, I think that was the first element that I brought through of just saying focus on the culture and driving through. And I forget the full question. That alone is fantastic, because that cult like belief in the mission of what's happening, and I think that has been, you know, interesting, eerily enough, something that I've tried to instill is, you know, the core mantra at the top of our Notion is pinned: biggest video production school in the world by 2026, and we're scaling like crazy. And I am delusionally optimistic, but I also match it with massive work. And I think if you are near delusionally optimistic, but you're not delusional about your skill level and the work, I think if you're just sat there all day long playing video games, doing whatever, thinking I'm gonna make it, bro, I'm gonna make it. I've never been that. I can't relate, but I'm delusionally optimistic in the fact that the future version of Jack is killing it. I don't know exactly what problems I'll have to solve there, or what things I would have gone through to get there, but I'm confident it's coming, and I think everyone could apply that. 100%. Okay, I think we can leave it there. Thanks so much
Love
for your
it.
time, Jack. Really
This
good.
was a pleasure, Gary. Great conversation, man. I loved it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Easy.
Have a
Talk
good
soon,
day.
fellas. Peace,
Bye-bye.
peace.